The television series Allo once made audiences laugh uncontrollably with its clever wartime humor, unforgettable characters, and classic lines. But behind those laughs, few know that many of the show's stars met tragic ends, from horrific car accidents to mysterious illnesses that shocked the entertainment world. Let's remember these legends and honor the legacy they left behind. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Let's get started. Gordon Kaye as René Artois. Gordon Kaye, born April 7, 1941, in Huddersfield, is a British actor best known for his role as René Artois, the cunning cafe owner entangled in endless love triangles, in the classic comedy series Allo from 1982 to 1992. At 41, he became an indispensable face of the show, appearing in 85 television episodes and performing in 1,200 stage shows, bringing laughter to millions. But behind that charming persona lay a lonely soul, full of hidden wounds. An only child with no family of his own, Kaye grew up shy and withdrawn, never fully escaping his insecurities about his gender and appearance. He had admitted to spending nights with male prostitutes in Soho bars, but was later tormented by shame and guilt. That feeling of captivity, as he wrote in his autobiography, René and I, transformed his real life into a silent stage, where no one could hear the sighs behind the curtain of comedy. Tragedy struck in 1990. During a violent storm in London, a billboard was blown away by the wind and crashed through the windshield of the car Kaye was driving, striking him hard on the head and causing a severe traumatic brain injury. The accident nearly cost him his life. Although he survived, he was never the same again. Following emergency brain surgery, he suffered temporary amnesia and bore a long scar on his forehead, a fateful line that divided his life in two. Once a sought-after actor, he gradually faded from the screen, only occasionally taking on small roles in shows like Revolver and The Bullion Boys. But René's former glory had faded in his weary eyes. Kaye's losses were not limited to material possessions and career. He also fell into a state of mental isolation. He never married, had no children, and lived quietly in a small house in Knaresborough. As his loneliness deepened, he lost his motivation to pursue art and was unable to recover financially. Despite once being a national television icon, by the end of his life his entire fortune was less than £500,000, enough for a modest life, but far from befitting a British television legend. For the last 2 years of his life, Kaye lived in a nursing home due to dementia. From someone who once made the whole country laugh, he gradually faded into obscurity, even forgetting his past glory. He passed away peacefully on January 23, 2017, at the age of 75. At a simple funeral in Huddersfield, former co-stars like Vicky and Sue Hodge came to say goodbye. And the Yorkshire folk hymn Ilkla Morbot rang out, a sweet yet bitter farewell to the life of a quiet comedic actress. Carmen Silvera as Edith Artois. Carmen Silvera, born on June 2, 1922, in Canada, was a Spanish-born actress who became a beloved figure throughout Britain thanks to her unforgettable portrayal of Edith Artois, the sharp-witted, musically challenged wife in the classic comedy series Allo Allo. She first took on the role in 1982 at the age of 60 and remained with the show for a decade. Throughout that time, she helped make the character of Madam Edith a household name and an integral part of British television history. But behind the glamour of comedy and the applause, Carmen Silvera was a woman carrying a quiet sadness and personal losses. In 1949, while married to actor John Cunliffe, she suffered a heartbreaking miscarriage. Later, the couple divorced, and Silvera never remarried. She lived a childless life, dedicating all her love and passion to acting. In an interview, she once said, "I love the stage with all my heart, because I have nothing else besides it." Although her role in Allo brought her immense fame, it also became a double-edged sword. The role of Edith was so iconic, so deeply ingrained in the audience's minds, that Silvera felt trapped in it. Despite appearing in later works such as Waters of the Moon and La Passion, she still struggled to escape the image of the nagging, troublesome old wife. In her later years, she candidly shared her disappointment, saying that people no longer saw her as Carmen Silvera, the actress, but simply as Madam Edith. In the late 1990s, Silvera's health began to decline. She had smoked heavily for much of her life, and in 2001, she was diagnosed with lung cancer. Choosing a peaceful life over prolonged treatment, she declined chemotherapy and moved to Denville Hall, a nursing home for elderly artists. There, she spent her final days in quiet solitude, visited by a few loyal friends, including her former co-star from the film Allo, Gordon Kaye. Carmen Silvera died on August 3, 2002, at the age of 80. Her estate, estimated at around £1 million, included a modest London apartment and a collection of precious memorabilia from her long and dedicated career. Although she passed away peacefully, her legacy lives on, in every laugh, every scene, and every memory of Edith. Richard Marner as Colonel Kurt von Strom. Richard Marner, whose real name was Alexander Pavlovich Molchanov, was born on March 27, 1921, in Petrograd, Russia. He was a Russian actor, best known for his role as Colonel Kurt von Strom in the British television comedy series Allo Allo, from 1982 to 1992. Taking on this role at the age of 61, he left a lasting impression as the stern yet humorous German officer, adding a unique touch to the show. But behind his half-century-long acting career lay a life of inner conflict and solitude. Throughout his life, he was stuck playing villains, German soldiers, KGB agents, or bland characters with a heavy Russian accent. Although he appeared in major films like The Spy Who Came In From the Cold and You Only Live Twice, he was rarely given roles that explored emotional depth. It wasn't until he played Colonel von Strom, a character both stern and humorous, that he temporarily escaped the shackles of being typecast into a single role for decades. But the glamour couldn't warm a cold marriage. Marner married Pauline Farr in 1947, but their long marriage was fraught with turmoil. Rumors circulated of infidelity, alcoholism, and strained relationships, even with their only daughter, who publicly stated she felt neglected by a father immersed in his characters and forgetting who he was at home. These rifts plagued Marner until the end of his life, forcing him to leave London and live in seclusion in a small house in Perthshire, Scotland. In his final years, his health deteriorated. Marner battled chronic bronchitis. He died on March 18, 2004, just 9 days before his 83rd birthday. His estate, estimated at around £1 million, included his home in Perth and a few acting memorabilia, remnants of a life dedicated to the stage, even if he never truly belonged to any of it. Jack Haig as Roger Leclerc, Jack Haig, whose real name was John Cecil Coppin, was born on January 5, 1913, in Streatham, London. He was a veteran figure in British television comedy, best known for his catchphrase, "I am Leclerc," on the show Allo Allo, from 1982 to 1989. When he first played Monsieur Roger Leclerc at the age of 68, he delivered hilarious performances through his bizarre costumes, fake mustache, and outrageous antics. But behind his charming and humorous exterior lay a life filled with regret, illness, and a quiet end at the height of his career. Haig's entire career was a series of supporting roles. He made people laugh, but was never invited onto the main stage. He appeared in popular series like Hugh and I and Are You Being Served, and even turned down the role of Corporal Jones in Dad's Army, a choice he later called a bitter mistake. Haig remained typecast as a forgettable fool. His career drifted without a breakthrough or award, and the simmering frustration nearly drove him to abandon television in the late 1970s. Then the role of Leclerc appeared as a final ray of hope, a supporting role that captured the hearts of audiences and ultimately became his last. His screen success could not soothe the turmoil in his private life. His nearly 50-year marriage to musical theater artist Sybil Dunn was not as peaceful as it appeared. Haig spent months filming Crossroads. While Sybil toured with small plays, they quietly lived in different worlds. When Sybil died in 1988, just 2 days before their 50th wedding anniversary, Haig was devastated. His only daughter once said he didn't know how to live outside of work, a gentle reproach that quietly drew the elderly father back into himself. Tragedy struck during the production of the play Allo Allo at the London Palladium in 1989, when Haig suddenly fell ill and was diagnosed with terminal stomach cancer. Within 2 months, the man who had once brought laughter to theaters was wasting away in a hospital bed at the Marie Curie End-of-Life Care Center in Hampstead. He passed away on July 4, 1989, at the age of 76. Some of his fellow actors called it a departure of character, a quiet death while the show was still going on, leaving an empty stage and a lasting grief. Vicky Michelle as Yvette Carte Blanche. Vicky Michelle, whose real name is Michelle Vicky Nathan, was born on December 14, 1950, in Chigwell, Essex. She was only 32 years old when she took on the role of Yvette Carte Blanche, the seductive and infatuated waitress Renee in the BBC comedy series Allo Allo. Her performance, spanning 85 episodes from 1982 to 1992, made her a comedy icon. She also toured Europe and Australia with the show's cast, bringing laughter to millions. However, behind the glamorous image lay a life full of hardship. In 2015, Michelle was severely injured when a reality TV star threw a champagne glass at her during a live broadcast, causing a concussion, neck injury, and near blindness. The incident forced the show to stop airing and led to a police investigation. Michelle spent months recovering, after which she suffered from chronic tinnitus, a long-term consequence of the attack. Her personal life has also been turbulent. Although married to cinematographer Graham Fowler since 1974, their relationship has been the subject of constant speculation due to their prolonged silence in public. Michelle was once embroiled in a tense legal battle over royalties with the producers of the film Allo Allo in the late 1996, leading to a permanent rift with the creative team. The incident affected both her income and her standing in the television industry. However, Michelle remained resilient. She went on to star in major productions such as Dracula, Annie, and Salad Days, and received praise for her versatile acting abilities in both comedic and dramatic roles. Offstage, she became the director of the media company Trading Faces, working with stars like Charles Dance and Joanna Lumley, and has hosted a radio show on Phoenix FM since 2017. She is also dedicated to philanthropy, serving as a patron or ambassador for more than 10 organizations. When she turns 74 in 2025, Vicky Michelle has no plans to retire. She went on to work in television, the EastEnders series, radio, and theater, and remains a passionate advocate for victims of injustice and abuse, with an estimated net worth of around £3 million from royalties, real estate, and her business ventures. Michelle is not only an icon of comedic charm, but also a testament to resilience, self-renewal, and quiet strength in a harsh industry. Hilary Minster was born on March 21, 1944, in Surrey, England. He is best known for his role as General Erich von Klinkerhoffen in the hit comedy series Allo Allo from 1984 to 1992, when he was 40 years old. His character, a strictly disciplined German officer caught in ironic situations, made him a familiar face on British television for almost a decade. Before Allo Allo, Hilary had appeared in Doctor Who, A Bridge Too Far, and Secret Army, but mostly in supporting roles. He was often cast in roles because of his cool demeanor, which made it difficult to break free from stereotypical roles. Despite collaborating on screenplays with comedy icon Kenneth Williams, his career never truly took off, except for his role as General Klinkerhoffen, a role that brought him fame but also marked the end of other opportunities. In his personal life, Hilary married Robin Parkinson and had 4 children, but the marriage ended quietly. After his divorce, he virtually disappeared from the entertainment industry, transitioning to hosting a humanitarian news program called Here and Now, a little-known but highly regarded show for its depth of content. During that time, he rarely appeared on screen, but continued to work diligently behind the scenes. Those close to him said he lived a secluded life, avoiding public events and quietly focusing on writing. Tragedy struck in 1999 when he was diagnosed with cancer. Hilary Minster passed away just a few months later, on November 24, 1999, in London. At the age of 55, he was buried at Putney Vale Cemetery. The inscription on his tombstone carries a warm and touching tone. The noblest man, he brought laughter to millions, and his estate is estimated at around £1 million, a modest sum for a lifetime dedicated to the arts. Robin Parkinson as Ernest Leclerc. Christopher Robin Parkinson, born on October 25, 1929, in Coventry, England, took on the role of Monsieur Ernest Leclerc in the musical Allo from 1991 to 1992, at the age of 58, replacing Derek Royal after his death. His portrayal of a clumsy master of disguise loyal to the resistance made him a memorable part of the final acts of the production and helped him continue performing on West End stages and on a tour of Australia. However, Robin Parkinson's life was not as easygoing as the characters he portrayed. Despite a long and stable career, he was rumored to have clashed with a director on a major play, which allegedly led to him being quietly blacklisted by several television stations. While unproven, these rumors caused him to withdraw from major projects for a time. Later, he found peace in voice acting and narrating for the beloved children's program Button Moon. In his personal life, Robin married Patricia Rogers in 1956 and had 3 children, including Sarah Parkinson, a prominent radio and television producer and the late wife of comedian Paul Merton. Although their family life seemed stable, the British arts community quietly speculated about periods of marital tension and the possibility of infidelity. However, Parkinson was still widely regarded as a kind, calm, and extremely private person. Robin Parkinson died on May 7, 2022, in Kingston upon Thames at the age of 92. The cause of death was pneumonia, metastatic ureteral cancer, and acute renal failure. Until the end of his life, he lived in a large riverside house, filled with theatrical memorabilia. His estate was estimated at around £2 million, reflecting a life of quiet dedication and hard work. Jeremy Lloyd, also known as Wolfgang Jeremy Lloyd, a man who brought laughter to Britain but died in loneliness and financial hardship, was born on July 22, 1930, in Essex. At age 62, he appeared in Allo Allo as Wolfgang, a clumsy German officer, a small role in a complex personal journey. Behind that comedic role was a brilliant screenwriter, co-creator of Allo Allo, and the man behind the success of the popular sitcom Are You Being Served? Lloyd's childhood was marked by feelings of abandonment. His parents considered him a burden, sent him to live with his grandmother, and later withdrew him from private school, declaring that the boy would never amount to anything. That wound haunted him for life, driving him to constantly prove himself, starting with odd jobs like selling paint and working in retail. His experience on The Simpsons of Piccadilly later inspired the first episodes of Are You Being Served? But success never healed his emotional scars. His marriages also reflected that instability. His brief romance with actress Joanna Lumley, lasting only a few months, ended amidst rumors of infidelity and coldness. 3 other marriages also broke down due to disputes over children, jealousy, and deep emotional distance. Lloyd, famous for creating lovable, clumsy characters, was in fact portrayed as manipulative, emotionally detached, and fearful of intimacy. His tumultuous personal life has cast a dark shadow over his creative successes. One might think that fame would compensate for his arduous journey. Allo Allo became one of Britain's most beloved comedies and earned him the Order of the British Empire, OBE, in 2013. But offstage, things were bleak. Lloyd struggled financially due to his divorce, poor management, and mounting legal costs. When he died of pneumonia in London on December 23, 2014, at the age of 84, his estate was worth only £59,218, a bitter pill to swallow for someone who had once been at the pinnacle of British comedy. Rose Hill as Madame Fanny LaFan. Rose Hill, born on June 5, 1914, in London, was an actress who brought laughter to television audiences with her portrayal of Madame Fanny LaFan, Edith's sharp-tongued, hot-tempered mother in the series Allo Allo from 1982 to 1992, when she was 68 years old. With her sharp eyes and shrill voice, Hill was unforgettable whenever Madame Fanny fired a pistol from under her pillow or yelled for wine. However, her real life was anything but humorous. Hill was once a rising star in the English lyric opera scene. She played Despina in Così fan tutti, Barbarina in The Marriage of Figaro, and Lucy in the English premiere of The Beggar's Opera. But as she aged, her fame faded, and she moved to television, taking on supporting roles in shows such as A Touch of Frost and The Bill. She never married and had no children. In her final years, Hill lived at Denville Hall, a nursing home for elderly actors, with her co-star Carmen Silvera. There, she lived almost in seclusion, without family and with no more roles awaiting her. She died on December 22, 2003, at Denville Hall, at the age of 89. Her assets, estimated at around £1 million, mainly consist of memorabilia, performance shoes, handwritten sheet music, and unreleased recordings, testaments to a life dedicated to the arts. Kenneth Connor as Monsieur Alphonse. Kenneth Connor, born on June 6, 1918, in London, was one of Britain's most famous and enduring comedic actors. At age 66, he starred in the play Allo Allo as Monsieur Alphonse, a fragile-hearted funeral director who was infatuated with Madame Edith and often fainted from overwhelming emotion. This role, which lasted from 1984 to the early 1990s, brought audiences both laughter and sympathy. However, Connor's real life was far from as idyllic as the laughter he provided. Despite being awarded the Order of the British Empire, MBE, in 1009, 191, and being a key member of the legendary cast of the Carry On series, appearing in 17 original films, Connor lived under the pressures of fame and strained relationships. He married early and had a son, child actor Jeremy, but his marriage was frequently troubled. He struggled with infidelity and alcoholism in the years following the end of the Carry On series, leading to deep rifts with loved ones, especially his son. Behind the scenes, Connor also faced financial betrayal. A close financial partner pushed him into debt, forcing him to take on numerous small television roles, from Rent a Ghost to Heat a High, just to make ends meet. Despite this, he maintained his high profile, appearing in Blackadder and critically acclaimed stage plays such as A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum. His unwavering dedication to his profession earned him public admiration. By 1993, cancer began to ravage Connor's health. However, he continued working until his final days, making his last appearance on the show Telly Addicts. He died at his home in Harrow on November 28, 1993, at the age of 75. His remains were cremated at Breakspear Crematorium. Connor left an estimated estate of £3 million, largely derived from the royalties of the films Carry On and Allo Allo, as well as his house in Harrow. John Louis Mansi as Herr Engelbert von Smallhausen. John Louis Mansi, born November 8, 1926, in London, was an Italian-Irish-British actor best known for his role as Herr Engelbert von Smallhausen in Allo Allo, a small, clumsy but strangely loyal Gestapo assistant. He joined the cast in 1985 at the age of 58 and remained one of the most beloved actors until the series ended in 1992. With his shifty eyes, diminutive stature, and distinctive leather uniform, Mansi brought audiences to laughter, but few knew that his real life was filled with silence, instability, and melancholy. Before Allo Allo, Mansi had appeared in notable films such as The Italian Job, 1969, and Help, with the Beatles, but only in supporting roles, often as an Italian waiter or an unremarkable background character. Friends often joked that he was the real-life Louis Dombrowski, as his distinctive face made finding work after the series ended almost impossible. When Allo Allo ended, Mansi's career also faded. He was no longer offered acting roles, and he retreated to a small house in East Sussex, burdened by unpaid bills and the weight of a fading legacy. His private life was so secretive that even his co-stars admitted they knew very little about him outside of the set. Some relatives even hinted at a troubled past, including heavy smoking and unresolved family conflicts. At one point, he completely withdrew, spending his time rewatching old VHS tapes of his favorite movies, clinging to a golden era as darkness began to fall. In 2010, he was diagnosed with terminal lung cancer, a final shock that many attributed to his years of silent smoking. Prior to that, he had quietly battled Parkinson's disease for 6 years, never once complaining or disclosing his condition. He died on August 6, 2010, at his home in Berwick, East Sussex, at the age of 83. His funeral in Bexhill-on-Sea was simple, attended by only a few close friends. His estate was valued at around £500,000, quite modest for a lifelong artist, and included his small house, some memorabilia, and an old video player that constantly replayed old films such as Tales from the Crypt and The Spy Who Came In From the Cold, in which he made a brief appearance as General Erich von Klinkerhofen.